The Verve's time at the top was as brief as it was brilliant. All the success they had dreamed of in Wigan was theirs. All they had boasted would happen was happening, but internal pressures were also coming to the boil.
If you'd given that to the 70-year-old Richard Ashcroft, I'm sure he would have thought it was the greatest moment of his life, you know. But a lot had changed by then. It's almost, I think, even by the time I got a record contract, I was looking for something different out of the band. Even by the time of 20, 21, 22, my idea and concept of what I wanted out of this was changing. And as I started writing songs, the buzz was changing. What I was buzzing off was the writing and construction and recording of these songs. So the success was the finish of the record. The success after it was you know, it didn't freak me out at all. Internal pressures within the group that had been there since we started from day one, you know, were making it difficult. The unfortunate thing with this business is, you know, real illness and true problems, they become wrapped in cotton wool, so the problems are never really faced, because it's very easy to get up at 8 in the morning, have 4 bottles of Beck's, no one's saying, if you know, no one's telling you you're an alcoholic yet, because you're in a band, man, you know what I mean? You see a character over there, he's doing a big line at a time, when if you told him 7 years ago, you know, do you realise at 7 in the morning, the first thing you'll do, it's just like, how do you get there? How do you get to that point? I never wanted Spinal Tap, I never wanted it to get there. So, yeah, I think the band would have gone anyway, you know?
For Ashcroft, people wondered if swapping the assumed safe and supportive confines of a band for the exposed vulnerability of a full-on solo career would mean crushing extra responsibility.
No, I was always in charge of everything. I always had all the responsibility. I always did all the interviews. You know, the day I didn't do an interview in Los Angeles, the rest of them freaked out and got bladdered and couldn't make the call in the morning, so I had to do it in the night. So it's like I always had that weight. I always took it. So it's actually less now. It's less of a struggle now, because the weight of responsibility is purely for me. Being in the studio, just the guitar, my wife, and Chris Potter, and nobody else. It's like, right, where do we go from here, you know? And that was alone with everybody, and it was an education again because I've been in such a closeted environment. You know, I had to start looking around now and try and find some people who were going to help me on the trip, you know. And I think it was an achievement, that first record, from starting from scratch, and it gave me that springboard for this Human Conditions, and subsequently other people have come on the trip as well.
Fans and critics alike found Ashcroft's new solo status difficult to accept. Quite simply, they loved the Verve and wanted them to continue. His first solo outing, Alone with Everyone, released in June 2000, was guaranteed a rough reception.
And at first I wasn't. It was like, come on, you know, do me a favour, go on. I'm sure there's a dozen other albums released this month that deserve that kind of vitriolic kind of, but I think there's a sense of not wanting me to get away with it, you know, almost like everyone wanted to believe that the Verve was this magical thing with all the components together, and take the 3 components out and the guy's not going to be able to make it.
I spend the night, yeah, looking for my insides in a hotel room, waiting on.
Ashcroft's second solo album, this year's Human Conditions, is probably a better and far more settled record to use when trying to judge his post-Verve songwriting.
I think it's gone beyond what I did in the Verve. I think there's some songs on this record that, whether it's the fact that there's a part of my brain now that can be concentrating on the music that isn't dealing with the stuff that inevitably comes with being in a band, whether that's just giving that extra %, I don't know, but there's some tracks on the album I feel that could stand next to any song I wrote in the Verve or anything the Verve ever did. I think sometimes you're just talking to yourself and don't really realise it, and maybe in a year's time you realise it. You think, oh Christ, that's what that was about. Sometimes it may not even have anything to do with me, I don't know. You know, I don't overanalyse it, but that's the beauty of some of the songs I've written so far. I'm starting to think, Christ, these songs are, these are going down, these are classics, man. You played Lucky Man and Drugs Don't Work last night, it's incredible, it's incredible. So hopefully, when this one comes out, it's not going to be such a frenzy when I play those, and you know, it's that same old thing. But that's inevitable, you know. It's inevitable that some songs are going to connect on a deeper level than others.
Ashcroft has come a very long way in a very short time, a fact marked by the appearance on his new album of the legendary Beach Boys songwriting genius, Brian Wilson.
Brian Wilson, that's an astonishing turn of events for someone like me. To happen to a kid from Wigan, Brian Wilson's on my song, you know. If you could have told those guys we were talking about when we were 15, 16, 17 in those lounges that one day this guy who was blowing our minds on Pet Sounds was going to be on one of my records. So that started with simply my eyes closed in the studio listening to the song, listening to my deep voice. I thought of Dennis Wilson of Specific Ocean Blue, the album he made, which is an amazing record, and some of the sounds on Nature is the Law reminded me of it. And then Brian Wilson, and then the Wilsons, the story, the sound, and this all happened quite quick. And I came out of this and said to a few people around, "Oh, it'd be great if Brian Wilson can sing on Nature is the Law," and everyone's like, yeah, great, yeah. As if. And a few days later, I went to an interview with Mojo, and Brian was one of my heroes, and someone knew his manager there. Subsequently, a phone call was made because I told him about my idea, and he wants to hear Nature is the Law. So he gets the song and a little bit of information about me, and says, yeah, he wants to do it. So he books himself into a studio in Los Angeles and goes there after the tour, and he did it in LA when I was in London. And I was frantically writing the lyrics down, faxing them to Los Angeles, hoping, you know, I was convinced somebody was going to put a spanner in the works at some point. Something was going to go wrong. There would be a power cut just as he sat down at the piano. But he got the lyrics, he did it, and he sent it back. And it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
When you've been in a band that many consider to be the last great British band, the question is, how do you avoid being that guy from the Verve? What do you do next?
Hopefully, be a bit more consistent with the release of the records. Try and get a grip of this touring, recording business. Try and not wave goodbye to the studio now for a year and a half, and you know, who knows, man? It's just going to be exciting. That again, I've got another blank canvas to work on now. This one's finished. Everyone's expecting me to die out like some classic lead singer of a successful rock band, or perhaps cry for a reunion in 5 years' time. You know, but it's just not going to happen. And I love having an opportunity to rewrite the blueprint. Same with the Verve, we rewrote the concept of what you need to do or need to play to be successful. And I'm going to do it again as a solo artist. I'm going to rewrite, you know, Roger Daltrey leaves The Who, does a solo, I'm not successful, The Who's back together, Mick Jagger does a solo, I'm not, no, this ain't going to happen here. I'm going to try my hardest over the next few years to balance it to the point where, you know, it's actually swinging in my favour. That might take a few records, I don't know, but I've said it before, it's my opportunity not to be a ghost, because essentially when you have such a big effect on people at a specific time, when a video is shown so many times, you do become, unless you balance it out with something bigger, or you come out and connect with people again, you are going to be there for the rest of your life. I'm going to be locked in '97 walking down the street, the bloke from the Verve. I'm going to get a t-shirt with the guy from the Verve. You know, it's a great name. The mum should have thought of it.
When I'm